Hello and welcome to Deadline Horror News Live for February 23rd, 2022. I'm Josh and I'm joined here with Donnie
Hey,
and the Professor Smoke.
What's up?
Will couldn't be with us as per usual, but we are from the All-American Spookshow Horror Podcast. And of course, as always, we want to remind you to like and subscribe to the channel down below. Click on the bell to be notified when we upload new videos or when we go live. We want you to become a supporter of the Spook Show by going over to patreon.com/AA-Spook-Show and sign up to become a patron. We have levels starting at $1, $3, all the way up to the crazy $1,000 Spook Show Insanity level. Video minisodes featuring the Library of the Professor every Tuesday over on Patreon. Bonus podcast every month, such as the Spook Show Rewind, Crapsterpiece Theater, which we haven't done quite yet, but we're going to be getting to that pretty soon. And we'll remind you about the poll here in just a minute. Professor's retro review articles and tons more. Lots of stuff going on over there. So that's patreon.com/AA-Spook-Show. We also want to remind you that episode 96 of the podcast is out now. And it's our first Cult Corner series. We finally got around to paying that off. The poll was last month. So you chose The Warriors. So that is out now for your listening pleasure wherever your finer podcasts are dispensed. And next week, episode 97, it's our next horror movie review, and we're going to go back to the series of Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 from 1988. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be another fun episode. That comes out this Monday, February 28th at 6 p.m. East. Unless you're a patron at the $5 level, you will get it early. I guess before we get into the latest headlines, Donnie, go ahead and throw up the Crapsterpiece poll just so we can remind everybody what the poll is there. You've got your four choices there. All four steaming piles there in front of you. Mac and Me, the Garbage Pail Kids movie, Cool as Ice, and Star Crash. So we're gonna leave the poll up on the socials and the various places, Patreon and everything, up until the end of the month. So that means you have until this coming Monday at 11:59 p.m. East to have your vote heard. So you can go over to patreon.com /AA Spook Show to vote, or you can go on any of our socials, all the regular social platforms. You can find us there to comment and have your vote heard. So, Donnie, I'm going to toss it to you for the latest deadlines and horror news.
All right. So actually, one thing that we were talking about earlier, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released on this past Friday on Netflix. Did either of you guys get a chance to watch it?
I did.
I did not get to yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
I guess without any spoilers.
Which one of us is the lucky one?
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, you said you watched it, right, Donnie?
Yeah, watch it.
We don't want to get into spoiler territory because it did just come out this past Friday, and we don't want to get too heavy there. I definitely think it's worth you checking out if you've ever been a fan of the Texas Chainsaw series of movies. Any of them on any level, you should at least check it out once. Because it is another, Leatherface movie. So if you're into that character and into that story, you probably want to check it out. Not going too deep into what it is, but basically it's like, you've got the original from what year was that, Smoke? 74? I think the original came out 73, 74?
74, yep.
Yeah, 74. You've got the original and then this one, basically. But it's not like a direct sequel. It's like a 45, 50 years later sequel. How many years that ever, almost 50 years. And, basically you can see it there in the picture. Leatherface is back so many years later, and rampage and gore ensue. So,
I will say this, as far as I did like that they used the what seems to be the original chainsaw.
Yeah, I think I did see somewhere that I think it is the same, or
at
least a replica or something.
Yeah, there are some beautiful shots, in that movie. But
if you're a fan of gore,
yeah,
you're gonna like this one. Once again, not giving too much away. It is very gory, so it does have that going for it. What have you said a number of times, Smoke? If what it lacks in the story, if you can make up for it in gore.
That usually helps out. At least, if you're If you got nothing else to go on, at least load it up with some gore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely a
And
lot
like
of
I said,
that.
I haven't seen this one yet, so I can't comment on the story. And I know we're not going to spoil. I know y'all aren't going to spoil anything with the story, anyways. But yeah, if you, I have heard that myself though about this. I've heard that it was gory and that for depending on the person who's reviewing it or whatever, for this person that was reviewing it, it was lacking in story, but they did mention that it had a lot of gore.
I think it's a lot of fun for what it is. It's got a lot of gore. I mean, do you really go into these things, any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, expecting it to be Citizen Kane? You know, I mean, like, come on. You kind of know what the deal is. You know what's going on here. You just want to see, some messed up stuff. So it delivers in that regard. It's definitely got some weak spots, but I think it delivers in that regard, in my opinion. So I think it is worth checking out. And I will say this isn't. It's kind of a spoiler, but it's not a direct spoiler. You want to hang around to the end because there is a cutscene at the very end of the credits.
Yep.
And which could have ramifications, if they want to continue this thread or whatever. But yeah, you definitely want to check it out. Whenever it's on Netflix, by the way. I don't know if we mentioned that, but
yeah,
when you go to Netflix and you're watching it, just stick around to the very end. At the end of the credits, there's a cutscene. So I think it's worth checking out at least once if you've ever been a fan of Leatherface, in the Chainsaw movies.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Kind of leave our reviews for when all of us have watched it, and
we'll probably
eventually get to it.
Yeah, we'll probably get to it at some point this year, I would imagine.
Yep. Yeah, but
well, one thing is for sure, you don't really have to. Even though I know this was kind of playing off of the first Chainsaw movie, there's not really a whole lot of connection between any of the Chainsaw movies outside of Part 1, Part 2, and a little bit with Part 3. And then you got Next Generation, which went on its own and did whatever it was going to do. Then you had the remake and the prequel to the remake.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I did not see Texas Chainsaw 3D. I haven't seen that one. And
it's not confusing at all.
No. There's no real continuity hardly. I mean, there is for a couple of movies, but not overall. No.
I did read an interview. It may have been over on bloodydisgusting.com. I can't remember. But there was an interview. I think it was with the producer of this film. And he was talking about whether this kind of erases all the other movies in between, right? Like, is it the very first one and then this one and all that shit doesn't count? And he kind of debunked that a little bit, saying like, well, I kind of think some of those things might count. It's kind of like maybe if you want to cherry pick, some of that stuff did and some of it didn't kind of thing, but that's kind of, to me, that's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Either you're doing it or you ain't.
Yeah, but
well, like I said, with Leatherface, I mean, Part 1 and Part 2 was directly, they kind of did that back then too. He had 1974 for the original one, and then I think what was the tagline for the Part 2? Something like after 10 years of silence, the buzz is back.
Yeah.
So we were kind of playing like 10 years later. Here we are with this, and so I don't know that there's really anything you would have to even really worry about debunking in there as far as characters, because Sally was in the first one, and then she doesn't show up again until
Well, once again, I don't want to go too far into anything else I would say there to tell you, until you watch it.
Yeah. It's just something you'd have to check out.
Yeah.
Yep. But I guess kind of moving on to different headline. Unfortunately, the director Alfred Sol passed away at he was 78. He also, in addition to directing Alice, Sweet Alice, he also wrote an episode of Friday the 13th, the series, and also another episode of Alfred Hitchcock's Presents from 1989. So, unfortunate news, but
yeah, seems like we've been doing a lot of these here lately, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, have either of y'all seen Alice, Sweet Alice before?
I have not.
I've seen that cover and that poster or whatever forever, and I don't know if I've ever actually just sat down and watched the damn thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a very in my opinion, it's very underrated horror flick. So that's definitely one we have to bump up at some point on the show.
Yeah, and when I was looking at his resume, his filmography, Alfred Sol, like, he didn't really direct much. Like, he directed this and a few others, but like mostly it was like writing and some other contributions over his career. So like he didn't really direct a lot. And I think this was one of, if not his first directing job was Alice Sweet Alice, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, very close to it.
Yeah.
All right. Kind of moving on into TV. Alien, the TV series, is actually going to take place on Earth, which I believe is the first. About 70 years, 70 years from now, but definitely several decades before, Ripley's time. There's not going to be any other notable characters that we're familiar with. Just the alien. Ridley Scott is expected to produce, but it's likely to be released in 2023. What you guys thoughts on this?
Well, I'm interested, although I'm way behind on like the last 2 or 3 movies. Like, the newer ones like Prometheus and that stuff. I haven't watched any of those. Like, I've seen all the classic Alien movies. Just for whatever reason, I haven't watched those last 2 or 3 that came out.
Yeah, I typically don't go with any sort of like horror TV shows like American Horror Story. I just stayed away from. I typically just don't. I don't do the TV series much.
I think you might like some of those seasons. Like now, that's like an anthology, so each season is different. So I think some of those seasons you might like, and others you wouldn't. But maybe one of these days you should give it a go, man. A couple of them are pretty good.
Let me give them a shot. Maybe I won't, but still.
that and reading volumes of books, huh?
Yeah.
Smoke, what do you think about this Alien TV series?
It's Alien in itself. I love the series. I love the original films. I've seen Prometheus and the other one. I won't comment on it too much. We'll probably maybe at some point get to the Alien franchise on the show as well. But yeah, the classic ones I love, and I'm definitely interested in the concept. I haven't read into it any more than what you said the concept was, as far as it being before the original series. So it'd be interesting to see how they weave that into it.
Yeah, I would think in that universe that has been built there with the alien stuff, there's some interesting stories that could be told, of how they kind of got to, the times before Ripley, like you said, how they got to that point. Yeah. There's some interesting stories
how the ship got to where it was and everything, as far as
exactly
up to the discovery of it. I mean, I don't know if that's what they're doing.
But
that'd be pretty cool if they took it up to the point where the Nostromo was discovering it.
Yeah. You would think that's what it would naturally be. Yeah.
No.
Anything else, Donnie?
Yeah. So Foo Fighters are coming out with a, I guess basically their first horror movie or first movie yet. I guess. Studio 666.
I saw it described somewhere as like a splat stick comedy horror movie.
Yeah.
Did y'all watch the trailer? I saw the trailer for it. I don't know if y'all saw it yet.
I think I watched the teaser of it. I don't think it was the
one with was it the one where David Grohl was actually introducing the movie and showing scenes from it, or no? Or was it just a real short teaser?
And yeah, it was real short. The thing is, like, when like myself, for any I guess in highly anticipated movies, I try not to watch any trailers. I try to go in with fresh eyes, and that way I'm not expecting, and I'm not spoiling it for myself,
I tend to try to stay away from it too much, especially with horror movies, because that trend over the last 20 years or so of them giving away key points of a horror movie in a trailer just aggravates the crap out of me. So I'm kind of like Donnie there. I try to avoid it if possible. Unless it's one I really want to see, all right, what is this going to look like kind of thing. But usually, I'll watch the first teaser, maybe the first trailer, and then that's it. I'm not watching any more on anything, if there's a second trailer or more teasers, TV spots, stuff like that, I stay away from it at that point.
No. Well, as far as any notes and about this, it was filmed entirely in secret during the pandemic. Which I would imagine, NDAs or whatever. It is directed by B.J. McDonnell, who directed several Slayer music videos and also directed Hatchet 3. little hash.
Oh, there's another franchise we'll need to get to at some point.
Yep.
Dude, I've got like I think 2 of the movies on Blu-ray or something, and I've never watched any of them.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, yeah. We'll definitely need to get to it. Then I've seen the first 2, and I haven't seen the. I guess it's still a trilogy, right? It's only 3.
No, there's.
That's right. There's Crowley,
4.
Victor Crowley.
Peter Crowley.
Yeah. Victor Crowley. Yeah.
So I haven't seen part 3 or part 4, so those 2 will be new to me. But the first 2, yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
That's all Kane Hodder,
Well,
right? That's he's Peter Crowley.
At least I assume he did the last 2. I know he played the Victor Crowley role in the first 2. I assume he played him in the other one as well. Not 100% on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on it.
Yeah,
But that rounds it out on headlines.
Fan conventions, experiences, and events, whatnot. I guess before we get into ones that are coming up this weekend, Smoke, will throw to you to talk about Mad Monster Party. We don't have anything on the, any pretty slide to show you on the screen there for this, but what you see there on the screen before you go, Smoke, that's the Cult Classic Convention this weekend in Bastrop, Texas, which is right outside of Austin, Texas. You can go to cultclassicconvention.com. Guests there include Felissa Rose, Joe Bob Briggs, Jonathan Breck, Vernon Wells, Drew Marvick, and many others. So that sounds like a pretty cool one. But yeah, like I said, we'll go to you, Smoke. You visited the old Mad Monster Party. So how did it go? The one in Charlotte, North Carolina this past weekend. Yeah,
it was fun. We went Friday. Well, it didn't start until I guess maybe 5 or 6 p.m. Friday evening. We got there a little after that, but that night that they had a Mutilator 2 panel, which Mutilator film. I don't know if either of y'all have seen the Mutilator slasher movie from 1984.
I've seen the first one.
Yeah, I have seen the first one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're in the process of getting things together to make a second one now, as far as I think scripts together and casting they put together. And so they had a panel with the director and some of the cast members that they do have, and Q&A and whatnot, and talked about that. So that seems interesting. It was shot in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, the first one, at Chouse there, and this one will also be shot in North Carolina. But like I say, they got some location stuff, and they've got some, they got the script and got the actors. It's just a matter of budget now, I believe. And I believe that I'm pretty sure they were crowdfunding on that one, part of it, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what they were trying to do for that one. So that'll be interesting. The first one is like just a real fun 80s slasher flick, and I definitely would look forward to seeing what they do with the second one this many years later.
Yeah.
So then Saturday they had a Revenge of the Nerds panel, or Revenge of the Nerds actors and everything. They had Donald Gibb, who played Ogre. He was awesome. And, of course, he played Jackson in Bloodsport. Those are probably the two movies that everybody's going to know him from the most. Robert Carradine, again, one of the Revenge of the Nerds actors. Brian Tochi, he was in Revenge of the Nerds. He was the Asian guy in Revenge of the Nerds, but he was also he was Leonardo, I believe, in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay.
And then he was also in Police Academy 3. So he was fun. Yeah, and then you got him to sign a promo photo, and he's like, "All right, what's your name?" Brian. Oh, really? With an I? Yeah, with an I. So we had the Brian moment, So he was fun. Neve Campbell was there. Art the Clown, the guy that plays Art the Clown, David Thornton, and also the director of Terrifier and Terrifier 2. They had a panel for that as well. So that will also, something we'll be looking forward to. Again, they've got things together for that. I don't think they haven't started shooting it yet, but they got everything in place.
I think you talking about the second Terrifier? No, I think that's coming out. Like, I think that's, not anytime soon, but I think sometime this year.
Yeah. No, that was part 3 too. He was talking about doing a part 3 as well.
Okay, yeah.
And making it a trilogy. But yes, part 2 is in the can. And also David Thornton was we happened to be in the lobby eating, and there's elevators in this hotel. They're like the kind where it's facing the lobby, and there's like a window on the elevator looking out down into the lobby. And Art the Clown is not uncommon to see, quote unquote Art the Clown walking around. There's sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 people dressed as Art the Clown at various times at these conventions.
Mhm.
But I just happened to be sitting there eating and like looking up, and then I see an Art the Clown walking, and I go, wow, this guy's looks pretty damn good. Like he's got it down pat. And then I see the director behind him, and they get in the elevator. I'm like, oh, okay, so now he must be doing about to go do his photo op. And he's like in the elevator, pushed up with his face on the elevator, and everybody starts noticing at that point. They're like pointing up and looking, So yeah, he's great as Art, just walking around the convention that way, and then going out to do his promo shoot.
Yeah, if we'd have planned any of this stuff, we would have put up the pictures that you took.
Yeah.
But to that, you can go over on our Facebook account, the Spook Show Facebook page, and Smoke put up some of these pictures that he's talking about from some of these people he got to meet and some of the cool stuff he got to do. So that's, if you want to take a look, it's over there.
Felissa Rose, she was there. She's at a lot of these. She's a sweetheart, and she's down to earth, and I actually takes time with the fans. I mean, her line will be somewhat long. This time it was longer than usual, and you're going to be in it for a while because she's going to take time with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She'll ask questions. She'll go back and forth. Did you come around and hug you? And like, she's just very personable, very genuine. She it never feels forced with her, and she's always happy to see the fans.
That's cool. And you don't always get that. You don't always get that from a lot of these people with these things, and they're just there.
No. Sometimes and sometimes people will be in they might have been there for half the day, and it's getting close to lunchtime or something. They're like getting agitated, and they're ready to kind of get up and do something. Whether she's ever been that way or not, you would never even know it.
They're getting hangry.
Yeah, they get hangry.
Well, that's cool though. Like we said, go over to our Facebook page and check out those pictures. And you even did like a little live video there, right? When you were walking around.
Professor Cam.
Oh yeah. For a little while. It got a little bit. I got bogged down and then had to stop because it was. I mean, there's been some prior Mad Monsters that have been even more packed in like sardines, like the one that Robert Englund was at, for instance. But
right.
Yeah. But this one it got pretty packed on Saturday, Friday night. And like I said, we usually don't go for all 3 days of a convention, or usually we only go on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Friday nights, I guess most of the times are going to not be all that busy. Then not everybody's going to be there either, probably. But yeah, that was Saturday. I took that video, and it was kind of, you walk a little ways, and then you kind of get bogged down. You're trying to get around somebody. So I tried to do a little, moving video through the crowd thing. But whenever I stopped, that was pretty much, I got bogged down, so I had to stop.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to the actors. I was trying to get around to the actors' tables, but yeah, it was too packed in there to move through with the camera. So, but yeah, it was a lot of vendors as well. A lot of good vendors there. One of our favorite tables to get to is Vinegar Syndrome, and we dropped a shitload of money at the Vinegar Syndrome table.
You can imagine, and that was just on one Blu-ray.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And we picked up well over one Blu-ray, a couple of 4Ks, and I don't know. We dropped some coin in it.
Yeah.
But and then also Paul Bear, he makes some great T-shirts, various other items. Like
I thought you were talking about Paul Bearer from the WWE. Like, wait a minute, he's dead.
Not that Paul Bear. Yeah, that'd be a mean feat right there.
Yeah. But yeah, go over to our Facebook page and check out everything there. And we appreciate you going and representing the Spook Show there at Mad Monster this past. We were all busy doing this, that, and the other thing. Had life going on, so thankfully you were able to represent. So that's cool, man. Back to the old convention list. Like we said, we mentioned Cult Classic Convention there outside of Austin, Texas. The next one we have is Days of the Dead in Atlanta. Also this weekend, Friday through Sunday, and right there in Atlanta, Georgia. You can go to daysofthedead.com/Atlanta for tickets and information. Guests include Bill Moseley, Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead, which we're about to talk Hellraiser 2 coming up this week. So if you want to go get his autograph and pay him a visit, he'll be there. Tom Savini, Kane Hodder, Louis Gossett Jr., Derek Mears, Henry Thomas, and many more. Like, I was looking at that list. It's pretty loaded down there in Atlanta this week. That's a pretty big. And the last one we have here, because there was another one, I think it was called like Mysticon or something, that apparently got canceled.
It did.
But this one is called Farpoint, and it's in Hunt Valley, Maryland, which is like a little suburb outside of Baltimore. You can go to farpointcon.com for information on that. And guests include Sam Witwer, and Maisie Richardson Sellers. There might be a few other guests. Like, this is definitely a smaller little sci-fi horror type convention. But, if you're in the Baltimore area, it's also February 25th through the 27th. So 3 days of con goodness there for you. We've got the box office. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, wasn't Farpoint, is that a reference to the first Next Generation episode? Wasn't that counter at Farpoint? Could be wrong.
Well, it is a sci-fi type deal, so it probably is.
I just I was trying to think, I know Farpoint. I just can't pull it up right now. I'm pretty sure it was it. But anyways, go aheart.
I will say it looks like they made this logo in with
MS Paint.
Yeah, with clip art from 1997 or something.
I was about to say, yeah.
It looks. Yeah. I'm not going to criticize them too heavily. I'm sure they're good photos. Yeah. But you need a new logo there.
Yeah.
Oh, DuckTales font. It is DuckTales font.
DuckTales font. I didn't know that was an official font.
Tell me that is not DuckTales font.
Yeah. Indiana Jones font.
Yeah, plus a little Star Trek as the A.
See, that's why it drew my attention. I'm like, that's a Star Trek A right there. And then I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure the damn name of that first Next Generation episode was a counter Farpoint. And
it looks like they got the little Microsoft clip. Remember the paper clip dude hang out in the corner like it's him on top.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of criticizing this logo. Come on. I'm sure they put on a good convention there.
With the DuckTales font.
Yeah.
All right.
Box office report from this past weekend of what was this? I'm completely blanking on what the date was. February 18th to the 20th. Number 5, you see there, Jackass Forever, down from number 2. Number 4, Death on the Nile, down from number 1. Number 3, up from number 4, Spider-Man No Way Home. This thing just continues to rake in 7.4 million. This past
10, how many weeks has it been out? Now it's climbing back up.
10 weeks. Been out for 10 weeks and it climbed back up a spot. But the top 2 this week were the 2 movies that were brand new openings. Dog and number 1, Uncharted, made a little over 44 million in its opening weekend. And I actually contributed to that. I went and my wife and I went and saw it on Saturday. So it's pretty much what you expect. It's kind of, Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, Alan Quartermain, that kind of stuff, based on those PlayStation series of games and Nathan Drake. It was pretty good. It is what it is. You kind of know what to expect. So we enjoyed it. New releases this week. We have just tomorrow on Shudder on the 24th, Hellbender. Then on Friday, you've got 2 releases, one on Hulu, and that's No Exit. And then one in theaters. That's the one that we talked about earlier, the Foo Fighters flick, Studio 666. Yep. Then next Tuesday, March 1st, you've got Suicide Forest Village, which that's like it's like either Japanese or Korean. I couldn't quite tell, but like it's basically based on the suicide forest there, where apparently people go and like commit suicide and shit, and it's haunted and all that stuff. So it's kind of based on that. And then you've got Hell is Empty, and then you've got Beneath the Surface. Now, I got to say, all 3 of those posters on the bottom suck, like in their own various ways. Like they just look like 19.
I don't know. I'd say,
like early.
I think No Exit looks like garbage.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those ones at the bottom, they just look, they look bad. Like I'm not going to say No Exit looks great, but compared to those 3,
I don't know.
I'm just saying, especially if you can see them up close, because they're kind of small there.
Yeah,
they all look like DVD covers from 2001. I'm telling you, all of them.
That Hell is Empty looks like one of those Baptist videos about satanic panic type stuff.
One of those
Baptist video. Like Kirk Cameron.
Yeah, except that flies against what they're trying to preach, though. Hell is not empty. It's full of sinners like you. But anyways, those are your new releases this week, and then we've got one horror anniversary date. Unfortunately, the 5-year. What is that? This Friday, the 25th.
Yeah, it's Friday.
5 years since Bill Paxton passed away.
Yeah,
that's still hard to believe, man. Like
I know.
He died fairly young, but just that on top of that it was 5 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah, he went in for like a routine surgery, and just during the operation.
Yes, but one of those guys that especially us growing up in the 80s and 90s, like he was in a ton of movies that I'm sure we all grew up and enjoyed watching. So
like we were talking about earlier with Alien franchise, for instance.
That's the picture right there. That's from Aliens. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. I think we've talked long enough. Once again, we remind you to go vote on the Crapsterpiece poll. You've got Mac and Me, the Garbage Pail Kids movie, Cool as Ice, and Star Crash. Those are your choices. So go vote. So you can help us see which one is going to be the sinker or the floater here. So and of course you know where to reach us on all of our usual socials. And there you see on the screen all the series and stuff, all the stuff we got going on Patreon.
New series. Also, we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, you see it there, kind of on the left-hand side, the blue. You see the Cannon logo, and it's called Cannon Fodder. We haven't gone deep into that yet. We haven't started it yet, obviously. But what the premise there is going to be is Cannon movies. So whenever we decide, like we just feel like doing a Cannon movie, any genre that they have, that will be what the series is called, is Cannon Fodder. So look for that in the coming, next month or two. And that will be here on the regular podcast feed. That won't be like a Patreon exclusive there like Crapsterpiece is. Yep. That will be just, a new series that we'll be introducing sooner or later. So, thanks for watching, and come back next week for another edition of Deadline Horror News. And don't miss the regular podcast. We've got Hellbound Hellraiser 2 coming out next week. So, So for Will, Donnie, and the Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We're from the All-American Spookshow Horror Podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.
Later.